welcome to my channel, Retirement After a Heart Transplant. If you're new here, my name is Alan. Today's episode I am titling, Are You Prepared to Be Self-Sufficient? My wife and I decided many years ago, probably 25 years ago at least, that we wanted to be able to be self-sufficient should we need to be. And by that I mean, if the power is off, if there are other issues and you can't just jump in the car and go get food, you can't go get gas, you can't drive because there is no gas. Are you prepared, to live with that situation for some length of time, whatever it might be? Back in earlier generations, this was common sense. This is what people did. It's how they lived. They didn't rely on, an infrastructure, the government, anyone else actually, solely for their entire survival. They were prepared to live, without those support structures in place. And I think that mindset is beginning to return. Certainly in the last couple of decades, it's beginning to return. Some people think of that as being a mindset for preppers. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as common sense. There are different levels of preparation that you can engage in, obviously. Whatever is meaningful or whatever works for you, whatever you can afford, however you want to look at it. In any case, I have a couple of axioms that I go by in this regard. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Also, as pilots always talk about in terms of redundant systems on airplanes, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So if you've got something that's extremely important, for you to have, it's best to have more than one, have a backup for that. So today I'm just going to talk about, how my wife and I have looked at this over the years and share that with you. When you're talking about being prepared, you can talk about being prepared for a few days, such as a weather-related event, a hurricane, a tornado. Where we live, hurricanes are definitely an issue. We're about 90 miles from the Atlantic coastline in South Carolina, and we have tropical storms and occasionally even hurricane level storms come through here periodically. So we can relate to that. We've actually dealt with that before in our lifetime. Remember what happened during COVID with the supply chain disruptions and whatnot? It wasn't nearly as bad as some of the situations I'm talking about in this video today, but it was problematic, and it just showed us just how fragile our whole system of living and support is. Many different things. So, you could be talking about a few days, as I said. You could be talking about a little longer term, a couple of months. Electrical grid is down for some reason. Or you could even be talking about much longer than that. So again, whatever seems important for you to prepare for is what you should prepare for. Could a terrorist attack happen? Take down the electrical grid. You hear a lot about it being a possibility. We always think it can't happen to us. I don't think that at all. I'm not saying it will happen, and I do not live in fear. It's not what this is about at all. But this is how I look at it, how my wife and I look at it. So, if you want to begin doing this, how do you approach it? The first thing I'd say is you take small steps. You can't do this overnight. As I said, we've been doing it for a long time, and we're nowhere near, in my opinion, where we want to be someday, but we've come a long way. So you start with small steps, and essentially just like anything else to do with surviving in life, you look at 3 things: food, water, and shelter. You can live without food for quite a long time, 30, 40 days. You can live without water only, 5 days, maybe less, maybe a little more. So you have to prioritize these things as well. Also, particularly if it's a longer term situation, you'd want to have other things of value, to have for long-term disruptions, whether that value is to you personally, for your own personal use, or for your neighbors, for your group of people in your community, things of value. So some of the steps that we have taken are these. We have extra long-term food supplies. Without going into detail, we have quite a few months worth of extra long-term food supplies in several forms. other kinds of foodstuffs, salt. That sounds ridiculous, right? But there was a time in history when salt was more valuable than silver and gold. I'm not saying that day will come again. I'm just saying, as someone who wants to be prepared for the worst, that is included among the things that I'm preparing for. We have a portable gas and solar generator, both of which can be hooked up directly to our home. I've wired it up to do that. It can be hooked up directly to our electrical panel. We can't run everything at one time, but you have to manage, loads of electricity when you're running anything on a generator to be sure that the generator can handle it. So it depends on the size of the generator you have and what you're trying to run in your house. HVA systems, for example, draw a lot of current. Hot water heaters, probably the biggest current draw in your home. Right next to electric stoves, if you have electric stoves, and we do. So you have to kind of manage that. We have plenty of extra fuel for the gas generator, but more importantly, we have the solar. They call them generators now. It's just a solar power system. Again, it can be hooked directly up to the house, and it can last for years. We also will be able to maintain water filtration capacity. That's extremely important for me as a heart transplant. It's important for everyone, obviously, to have clean, safe water, drinking water. But in my case, with a suppressed immune system, it's even more important. So, we're prepared in several ways to maintain that capacity. Something that people may not think about is that if there are books, if there's information that you want access to down the road, no matter what happens, if it's during a short-term, mid-term, or long-term disruption like this, what sort of information do you want access to? Right now, everything's available, on the internet. Just ask the Google machine, right? By the way, I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo. It's a different browser. That's neither here nor there. At any rate, just consider that. If there are things that you want to be able to have access to, have hard copies on hand somewhere. Books for reading, for pleasure, for entertainment. More practical books about homesteading, medicinal herbs. It just goes on how to live like they lived back before electricity was commonly available. Have some things like that available. And again, if this is important to you, this may have no meaning at all for you, and that's fine. But so we have done that. Small gardens. We have small gardens that could be easily expanded. So that's another thing that we have. We actually have chickens that provide lots of eggs, which is great protein, and they taste really good as compared to store-bought eggs, at least in our opinion. We have in the past had goats. We don't currently. I'd say we've still got the capability to have them, to fence them in and all that. We might, would do that again someday. I don't know. Other things, extra cash on hand, and I'm not talking about in the bank. I mean extra cash on hand, available in your hands if you need it. And that, could be important for a short-term problem. You can't go to the ATM and get cash. Mid-term, a few months or even longer problems, you can forget about money. It's not going to be very important at all. You're going to want to have other things that are available for you to use, to trade. For example, over-the-counter medications. Don't think much about that. Tylenol, cold medicines, Advil. What if you can't get your hands on that? So we stay stocked on that, and we rotate those things so that we're not sitting on anything that's too old. Taking it even further in a very, very long term, if you're a person who owns firearms, you want to have extra ammunition. Whether you own a firearm for personal protection, for hunting, or whatever, you want to have extra ammo because it probably won't be available. And in the very worst case scenario, ammo would be a thing that would be very important for barter and trade. The most important of the kinds of ammo likely that would be in demand would be shotgun shells and 22 caliber long rifle. So again, if you're not a gun person or even don't like guns, just forget it. Don't worry about it. I'm talking about how my wife and I have approached this. I have a full year of extra medications available at all times, so that I have that. I don't have to rely on CVS or whomever to get my meds if for up to a year, maybe a little longer even in some cases. The biggest issue with me is I am a type 2 diabetic, and I went on insulin after my heart transplant 13 years ago. So I've got to be able to keep insulin. I've got a year's worth of insulin, maybe more. And I do have the ability to refrigerate it, so I'm okay with that. I would be fine with that if I need it. I could sum all that up, but there are other things that we've done. I'm not going to get into all the details. It would be a very long list, but again, we would be ready for short-term disruption, mid-term, which I'm calling a couple of months, or long-term, months or even years. My goal personally, for me, my wife, and even my extended family, should they be around here if something like that happened, is to be able to stay alive for at least a year, to help them get settled and keep moving. Now, that's real extreme. I know many of you are probably thinking, "Oh man, that'll never happen." Once again, I'm not here to sell that philosophy or anything, but I'm just telling you what we have done and what we have decided works for us. So, again, there are other things I could talk about in terms of our preparations, but I'll stop with that. I did cover a fair amount of ground. And keeping the video short as always. So I appreciate you stopping by today. And if you found anything interesting or helpful, I'd appreciate hearing about it in the comments. I'd also appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for stopping by today. Till next time, bye-bye.